Live from New Hampshire, it's the 2011 FRC Kickoff. Please welcome first chairman Walt Havenstein.
You ready? Good morning, FRC! I'm Walt Havenstein, and this year I assume the post as chairman of the board of FIRST, from John Abele, who guided FIRST so steadily through the past many years. Thank you, John, for your leadership of this robust, creative, and energetic group. Today we are coming to you thanks to NASA, one of FIRST's major sponsors, who has recently increased their level of support with a $20 million grant for the next few years. Thank you, NASA, and thank you as well to our friends at PTC for the support of this kickoff. This year we welcome nearly 70 local kickoffs. In a short 6 weeks, we will have 49 regionals and 9 district FRC competitions. Then we are all off to St. Louis for the championship. We are delighted to have representatives from St. Louis here with us today and are so grateful to them. Thank you. This 20th season of FRC is going to be one for the record books. I wanted to take a minute and explain why I think what you are all about is so admirable and important. Yes, you are right. It looks good on your college application. But as a CEO that invests a lot of money and time in FIRST, there's something even bigger going on here. We in corporate America know from all the studies and focus groups and research that what you do with your lives matters to the very success of all of us in the United States and, frankly, the survival of the planet. Is that a heavy burden? Yes. But it's also a wide open opportunity. So just dream big, knowing that every one of you can turn pro in this sport and be a pro at the highest level. Every single one of you, individually, and all of you together. You are a hope for the way forward. So bring your best and have a lot of fun along the way. Learn everything you can, and know that we are here to support you. One of the greatest perks of being chairman of FIRST is having a front row seat for FIRST's highest award. Teams that have won the Chairman's Award are our role models for transforming culture into one that honors science and technology. To celebrate the success of Chairman's Award teams, 18 teams have been selected and have earned the right to be inducted into FIRST Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame teams serve as examples for the rest of us to follow. Last year's championship and Chairman Awards winner was Team 341, Miss Daisy. Here's the video submission that helped them win. Enjoy, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you at the regionals and in St. Louis.
Like a beautiful garden, our team has grown strong through the nurturing of parents, teachers, and industrial mentors. They share their experience, support us, and teach us valuable skills. We've put these skills to work by mentoring many teams in both FRC and FTC.
341 helped our team in a number of ways. First of all, they were the folks that we went to get the idea.
And then secondarily, they helped us convince our headmaster and board that this was a great idea for our school.
We're also firmly rooted in our local community, from the demonstrations we hold in elementary schools and libraries to the strong support we receive from our school.
Team 341 has really changed the climate in the school district. It's helped to increase awareness among the students for careers in the field of science and technology.
Miss Daisy can also be found throughout our region and around the world, bringing the message of FIRST to science museums, trade shows, and even pro basketball games. To celebrate International Youth Day and the FIRST mission, Miss Daisy journeyed to the United Kingdom to demonstrate at the Farnborough International Air Show in partnership with BAE Systems. While over 35,000 people around the world have driven Miss Daisy, we never forget that the spark of inspiration happens one person at a time. One young girl, Katie Tragesser, attended our first ever demonstration at an elementary school back in 2000. She later became our team captain and is now studying aerospace engineering at Penn State University. For over a decade, Miss Daisy has been reaching out and bringing the FIRST message to millions through newspapers, television, radio, books, and film. In the fall of 2009, Miss Daisy was featured nationally in the PBS documentary Gearing Up. The film was broadcast in 90% of the public television market, reaching millions of homes. Miss Daisy also works closely with our congressional and state representatives who attend our events, provide funding, and even invite us to speak about FIRST in the state capitol.
There must have been hundreds, if not thousands, of people who saw the robotics teams in actions and were able to enjoy them and also to appreciate the level of skill and expertise it took to put the machines together.
Team in a Box is an instructional DVD that we've created as a free resource for all FRC teams. The next update will include closed captioning and an updated technical section. Ramp Ride is an annual off-season competition hosted by our school. For thousands of students, Ramp Ride is their first exposure to robotics. In fact, 75% of teams here at the Philadelphia Regional train their rookies at Ramp Ride.
When I first went to Ramp Ride, I didn't expect it to be on the grand scale that it was. I was interested to see that all the kids are working together and learning from each other.
In 2 years, over 120 girls have taken part in our Girls in Gear interactive Girl Scout program. Scouts learn about machines, meet role model engineers, but more importantly, they learn about the power they have to change their lives.
Being on FIRST truly has changed my life. It has shown me what I want to do in the future. It has just taught me skills about working with other people and has given me so many opportunities I would not have had if I had not joined this team.
Please welcome FIRST President John Dudas.
Thanks everybody for being here. It's an honor to be here today. This is my first kickoff as president of FIRST. I know very many of you from kickoffs in the past and regionals and championships when I served as director of the Patent and Trademark Office and Undersecretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property. It's not everybody that understands how important innovation is and how important inspiration is, but I recognized every time I came here that FIRST is a place where people got it. Somebody noted the other day, someone who loves me noted the other day, that, hey, John, when you were at the Patent and Trademark Office, you had the distinct honor of signing more patents, of granting more inventions than any other person in history. And when I heard that, I felt really proud. It was impressive. It sounded impressive. But I easily impress myself. That's a problem. I told my kids, and they quickly let me know that's not incredibly impressive. And I'll give you an FYI. If you think you have a world record and you call the Guinness Book of World Records every day, over and over again, it does not mean that they'll return your call. They don't necessarily think you have that record. But I am quite proud of playing a part of promoting innovation in the United States. And as important as patents are in promoting innovation and making a difference, it's not nearly as important as what you do over the next 6 weeks in terms of what we do for innovation and we do for inspiration. At the Patent and Trademark Office, we helped inventors make things. That's important. Inventors need to make things and promote their inventions. But at FIRST, we use things to make inventors. You use gears and motors and control systems to make innovators, collaborators, and leaders. You make them. You are the leaders. You're the ones that are the inspiration and the innovation of the future. I cannot think of anything that's more exciting, more exhilarating, or more inspiring than what you're about to embark on over the next 6 weeks. Unfortunately, we live in a world that sometimes thrives on telling us what we cannot do. But you're about to discover, or at least hopefully be reminded, that you have the skills to change the world for the better. You'll see yourself and your teammates do things that many people said is not possible. You'll find yourselves achieving goals that you may not thought of were possible. And most everybody in the world wants to change their world for the better. For me, it's why I came to FIRST. So think about how you want to improve the world. What disease do you want to cure? What social ill do you want to solve? What mindset do you want to change? Think about where you want to have a serious impact in people's lives. And take it seriously, because in a few months you will know you can do it. You will know you will be the future leaders, you will be the future innovators, and you will be the people that change the world. Changing our culture is what we're all about. It's our vision, and you're achieving it. None of this would be possible without the many sponsors who've helped FIRST throughout the years, growing their support and involvement, and encouraging others to join us. And to the new sponsors of FIRST, we're excited for you to see what the future looks like. Robin Saltz from PTC, our FRC Kickoff sponsor, is here to tell you a little bit more about why they support FIRST. She's FIRST through and through. She's a mentor, she's a judge, and her explanation of PT's reasons will help all of you understand why it's so important and how you can help with fundraising in your communities. Robin Saltz.
Thanks, John. Good morning. Thank you, John, and hello to all of you around the world as we kick off another intense FRC season. I know all of you are really excited because I've been following the Twitter feed all week and have been tweeting along with some of you, so I'll keep my comments brief. I know each of you has your own reasons why you're involved with this crazy, wonderful thing called FIRST. I wanted to tell you why we at PTC do as much as we do to support FIRST. Maybe understanding the thinking at our company can help you in your fundraising and mentor recruiting efforts with other organizations. Every experience you have while you prepare for your first robotics competition strengthens your skills for college and beyond. FIRST gives you a jump start in making you more successful in your career, no matter what field you pursue. FIRST is the cornerstone of PTC's Corporate Social Responsibility Program. We offer gifts of CAD and collaboration software to all high school teams involved in FRC and FTC and provide nearly $1 million in support for the FIRST program. We encourage our global base of employees, all 5,000 of them, to get involved in the community in a meaningful way. Why do we do this? Because we know that the teamwork, collaboration, and build process that's at the heart of FIRST is not so different from the product development processes our 25,000 customers execute every day. Through FIRST, you get real-world, hands-on experience. PTC knows that the FIRST program at all levels is a direct route to a successful future for you and your prospective employers. We know the program works. The partnership between you and your sponsors and your mentors is a key reason. Your mentors are an invaluable resource. Many of them come from our customers like NASA, JCPenney, BAE Systems, and John Deere, just to name a few. They invest in you with their time. Learn from them. And don't forget to thank them over and over again. You are the future. And at PTC, we believe FIRST is the best investment we can make in the future. So work hard, have a great time. I know you're all going to do fantastic. And I'll see you at the regional competitions and St. Louis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin, for all PTC has done and continues to do for FIRST. We're enormously grateful. FIRST wants to inspire you to go as far as you can dream. Get going. Each and every one of you, we need you all. And in closing, another incredible benefit of being on a team is the availability of scholarship money to go to college. Here are a couple of FIRST students, your colleagues, that'll tell their story.
Hi, I'm Kelly Powell. I'm a freshman dual majoring in engineering physics and computer engineering.
I'm Mark Wanish, majoring in mechanical engineering.
And we're both alumni of Team Crunch 79 from Tarpon Springs, Florida.
We both received FIRST scholarships to go to Kettering University.
In 5th grade, I attended a robotics summer camp run by Mark's dad. There I met Mark and became friends with him, and all through middle school he never stopped talking about the robotics team, So when I entered high school, it just made sense for me to join the team and become a part of it.
I've been around the robotics program for as long as I can remember, so when high school came around, I officially joined up on the robotics team and have been there ever since.
If you're on a FIRST team, there are over 800 scholarships from over 130 institutions available specifically for you.
That comes to more than $14 million of scholarships just because you're on a FIRST team.
Many of the scholarships are for engineering and the sciences, but there are others that cover any course of study you choose.
Last year, 1 out of every 3 students that applied for a FIRST scholarship was offered one. Those are great odds.
So take advantage of this incredible opportunity that's possible just because you're a part of FIRST.
The information is right on the FIRST website.
And have a great season.
Please welcome 6-time Grammy Award winning artist and first fan, will.i.am.
What's up, everybody? You're probably wondering what I'm doing here. I'm here because I'm inspired by you guys. I'm a FIRST fan. I've traveled all around the world. In the Black Eyed Peas, we performed at the World Cup, and this year we're performing at the Super Bowl. And from traveling around the world, this is the most exciting thing, FIRST, because it's you guys' brains. That's the competition in it. And those airplanes I fly around with, that engineering, that takes me around the world. You guys are an inspiration, and one of my heroes is Dean Kamen. Thank you so much for inspiring me, and it's great to be here. I wish you all luck. Make me a robot. Wish you luck. Dean Kamen, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't go away. Come back. So, I keep giving you people homework that we got to get more exposure for FIRST. I think we got a plan here. By the way, he's a little modest. I think you heard he pointed out that this year, the entire halftime show for the Super Bowl, they actually still play that sport. He and his group are the halftime show. I think that that's a good warm-up. So maybe we're going to have a big vent down the road, and maybe he'll help us. And it occurred to me, since I know you want to be cool, and FIRST can help, I thought that maybe, I know it's an indoor stadium down there, but this could be good.
Thank you.
And I, okay. Maybe he can help us be cool too. But
No, you guys are cool. I want to turn up the cool so everybody knows it's cool, because it's cool.
Okay. So he's also a little modest, because I happened to get a copy of an interview. I'd encourage you to look at it, of when he did an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and they announced a scholarship. He asked a lot of people to apply for a scholarship from the neighborhood he grew up, and they had to pick a person to give a full 4-year scholarship to. And in the end, after he read all of them, it came down to 4, and he couldn't figure out which one of these kids to give the full 4-year scholarship to. So he decided to give 4 full 4-year scholarships to all those kids. And I saw that, and also he slipped and made the mistake and let everybody know that his mother had something to do with that. And as you know, I'm never satisfied. I not just suck the help out of anybody that's near me, I suck the help out of their family. So it occurred to me, since my mother is the chairman of our FIRST Dean's List group, and your mother's helping figure out how to help kids, I'm going to ask you to make sure your mother
works with my mother this year to help make the first Dean's List a bigger event.
My mama would like to work with your mama.
Okay, it's a good deal. In that case, can you please deliver that to your mother and tell her to expect a call?
You got it.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much. So, I have some notes. I always try to do this, and then I always get flooded with all the things I wish I had time to say. The notes say, what are we doing here? For 20 years, I've been trying to explain at every kickoff what we're doing here. No pun intended. I say the same thing every year. It's not about robots. Nobody's going to buy the robot that you build this year. The robot isn't the end, it's barely the beginning. No pun intended, it's just the vehicle. What we're doing here is way bigger than any one of these robots. You're not building a vehicle. We hope what you're building is self-confidence, self-respect. We hope what you're really building is relationships with serious adults. The people that built this country, that keep the lights on, that make the planes fly, that allow you to tweet, that allow you to hear Will.i.am's music, whether it's on one technology or another. The people that make the technologies that keep us healthy, that allow us to enjoy entertainment. We need way more people dealing with that stuff. So why are we here? Because we have a lot of extraordinary people, mentors, that are all busy people in world-class companies that are willing to take their time and effort to work with all of you to make sure that the future is better than the past. Don't blow that opportunity by thinking this is about the robot. And I'm begging the mentors to remember it's way bigger than the robots. Every year I'm astounded by how much passion all the great mentors and parents and teachers are willing to put into FIRST. Because I know they see it makes a difference. And the good news is, and that's what my homework assignment is going to be about this year, the good news is other people, after 20 years, are starting to notice what a difference FIRST makes. Like who? Like the President of the United States. Again, this year he brought our winners to the White House. Like media. Like the world of entertainment that's going to help put a spotlight on us so we're not the best kept secret in the world. Like universities. We gave out $13, $14 million in scholarships from well over 100 universities that sponsor teams. Like government, our senator, our governor, are hopefully going to lead the rest of the senators and governors to help us grow really fast, because this country's in a race between technical expertise and catastrophe, and we can't let catastrophe win. But again, it isn't about the robots. What does everybody see at FIRST? When I go around the country asking people to get involved in FIRST, they never ask, trust me, they never ask, which robot won last year? They see the story behind the story. They ask about the kids. They ask about the role models, the mentors, the sponsors. They ask what happens to these kids after they have this experience. And we just have great things to say about it. In fact, I am so convinced that it's not about the robots that I've decided that when people ask me what's FIRST about, it isn't FIRST robots, your team won or your team won. I think the headlines 20 years from today will read, FIRST cures cancer. Really? What do you mean, Dean? Well, first of all, I have a brother that cures cancer. There are students on these teams today that wouldn't be here because they had leukemia as babies. My brother is one of those doctors, researchers that helped cure that. That wasn't possible 20 or 30 years ago. But sadly, as you all know, there's a lot of cancers out there that haven't been cured. We need a new generation of docs and scientists to cure those things. Somebody's going to do it. It's going to be one of you. First cures cancer. First saves the environment. We all know what a mess that is. It's going to be technology that fixes it. Somebody on one of these first teams 20 years ago is going to get the Nobel Prize. And they're going to be asked, how'd they come up with that new fuel that doesn't pollute? Well, I was on this team when I was in high school. First solves the energy crisis. Senator, the headlines are going to read, first creates jobs. First solves the unemployment problem. How is that? Well, let's see. What do you got to do to have unemployment? You need two things. You need jobs. They come from new industries, from new products created by technology. You need something else for those jobs. If those new technologies come around and you have the old skills, there aren't a lot of jobs anymore for people to push plows. There aren't a lot of farmers out there because technology made that something that 2% of the population can make more food than we all need to eat. So you need two things to solve unemployment and create jobs. Technology to create industries and people well educated to compete and fill those jobs. That's what FIRST is making. FIRST is way, way more important than the robots. So I hope all the students will remember every day what an unbelievable opportunity you have to meet some extraordinary people, your mentors, that are donating time to help you, and extraordinary teachers that, above and beyond their normal teaching load, do this as volunteers, and the parents. We know it's fun. We want it to be fun. We want it to be highly competitive. We've always wanted that because competition works and entertainment works. But remember, this is maybe the hardest fun and the most important fun you might ever have because it might affect what you do with your life. So, the homework assignment's very simple this year. I really did make it simple. You got to use the word FIRST in everything you do when you talk about FIRST. Part of the reason we're the best kept secret, not even Will.i.am's going to fix that if we don't talk about ourselves right. You're not on a robotics team, you're on a FIRST robotics team. When you write to your senators and congressmen, when you get to media, you should be proud of being part of FIRST. You may or may not be on that dean's list in your school. They give kids the dean's list if they do well at the stuff in the classroom. But you might be on the first dean's list because you know how to create stuff and build stuff and work with complex teams. But we're about FIRST. We won't get our message out to the rest of the world. They won't have clarity about how great and special this thing is if you don't help us do that. Speaking of the homework and speaking of the fact that I brought a couple of special guests, you just saw one of them, Will.i.am, and that's not the last time you're going to see him. You're going to have to figure out what that means. We have some other special guests that I hope are going to help us get our message out and keep FIRST top of mind. There is a guy named Neil Boscom. Neil came as a reporter to look at FIRST. He was going to dabble in it like everybody touches FIRST. And then like everybody else, he got sucked in. And instead of doing a little article, he ended up writing a book. And it's a great book. You ought to read it. It's called The New Cool. And he wrote that book about the escapades of one of the great teachers, a school in California. And you're going to meet that teacher. Amir is here somewhere. Anyway, soon after his book came out, that teacher was also here. Ended up being the first public school teacher in history to be granted a $500,000 MacArthur Genius Award for his work so that he can go and do more. There are literally tens of thousands of extraordinary people with extraordinary commitment to FIRST. We're going to get this story out. We would love The New Cool, a great book, to become a great movie. We're working hard to make that happen. We're working hard to get Amir's story out to all the rest of the teachers and all the rest of the mentors and sponsors. And you'll hear him speak. It isn't about the robot. It's about the transformation that happens when we have the kind of mentors that we've been able to collect and we put them in this kind of environment. So as the season gets tough and your patience get thin and your anxiety goes up, remember what we tell you every year. It's gracious professionalism. It's way more important than some of the stuff that overtakes, sadly, other sports where you tend to see a little bad sportsmanship. This stuff is too important for that. So please, have a great time, and please, every day, thank those mentors that are making this possible. I would now like to introduce one of our special guests, the guy that is going to help tell the world who are the people that really are the new cool, Neil Boscombe.
Thank you, Dean. Well, good morning, and it's wonderful to be around so much cool, I have to say. What this story Dean doesn't say was when I went back to New York to tell my publisher that I wanted to write this story, they looked at me and they gave me this empty look, because my last book was about hunting Nazis in Argentina. And now I want to write a book about high school students building robots. And they said, what? Really? A whole book? And I said, yes, absolutely. Now, I knew by instinct that a lot more people needed to know about the story about FIRST, a lot more people. But I'll be blunt in saying that truly what happened is that I talked to Dean and I was pretty much lost. That was it. I was going to write the book. And so what I did was I came here, and I was sitting here 2 years ago, and I was listening to all the speeches, and I was thinking to myself, gosh, what in the world am I doing here? And then I saw the game unveiled, and I saw all the students and mentors rush the field and measure the diameter of the balls and scratch the surface and kick stuff and throw stuff, and I really thought to myself, what am I doing here? And it wasn't because I didn't want to write this story. It was because I was trying to figure out how to tell this story and what was important about FIRST. So I followed 3 teams over the course of the season, from the very beginning, strategy sessions, to machining, to assembly, to that last night of build season before ship, which I think I'm still recovering from, and through regionals and on to the championship. And here's what I know about FIRST now. FIRST is a sports story. It's a dramatic sports story. It's a story of triumphs and tragedies, and I tell it as such. FIRST is a story about teamwork and the power of mentorship. FIRST, of course, is a story about inspiring all of you to pursue science and engineering and technology. And FIRST is a story about defining for yourself what cool is. But I think most importantly, and what I really try to tell in the book, is I think FIRST is a story about daring yourself to be exceptional. You have 6 weeks, you come together, you work night and day, and you build this remarkable machine. And you learn about the time and the effort and the creativity and the discipline that's necessary to achieve something remarkable. That's the story of FIRST, at least as I tell it in The New Cool. And I hope, of course, that you all read it and learn a great deal about what I have to say. But I think ultimately you'll learn much more from the mentors that will lead you in the days and months ahead. And in that note, I'd like to introduce Amir Abou-Shahir, who was featured prominently in the book and is a recent MacArthur Genius Award, and I think they have a video. Thank you.
I'm the director of the Dos Pueblos Engineering Academy at Dos Pueblos High School in Goleta, California. And what it is, it's a 4-year curriculum, and it's designed to really help students get excited about science and about engineering and really get introduced to engineering.
Different button. Okay, so now go ahead.
When I was a grad student at UCSB, I had been a teaching assistant, and I'd always liked working with students and showing them how things worked and really getting them to understand the material better. And then ultimately, when I decided I wanted to go into education, the ideal place really seemed to be the secondary school. My first class, there were 35 students and there were 2 girls. So what I did is I started to go, when we would go to the junior highs, I really talked about the idea that girls were not signing up for these classes. And what I did is I brought girls who were in the program. Over time we were able to get a few more girls, and soon 5, then 7, and brought those girls and had them share their experiences. And so that was really the motivating process, is getting them in the door.
So what I want to do right now is we're going to put this robot, move it over here right now, move the bumps over here so we have enough room to...
This is an international competition. It's well known. There's over 1,800 teams that participate in it. One thing that we've done that is unique, and there are maybe a couple of the teams that do something like this, is we've fully embedded the robotics competition into our curriculum. This has also been exciting for me because, the contrary to what you hear on the news, students don't want to do science, students don't want to do engineering, and we've had a line out the door of people wanting to get into the program.
All right, so for the first year I'm on the other side. I'm now an obstacle to you guys learning about the game. Kind of weird. I don't know about it either, so I'm an obstacle to myself learning about the game as well. So we're in this together. I want to share a little bit of the backstory with this for you. When I decided to change careers from engineering to education, I was actually discouraged by many people. And the message here that I want to tell you is this. First is about exciting your passions. And what I decided to do was really buck the system and follow my passion and do what I wanted to do, which was go and become an educator in the high school. And it was the best decision I've ever made, and I'm completely happy. And what I'd like to do is encourage the following. We need STEM educators desperately who are passionate and who understand what is necessary for us to be successful. And the talent pool here contains the people that we need. So I would like to really encourage everybody here, mentors also. I mean, I left, my career in engineering, later on. Mentors, students alike, to think not only about the STEM careers that you could go into in terms of changing engineering, but also to think about what can you do personally, coming back as a mentor, or maybe deciding that you're going to go into the career of education and really help the next generation of people like you become, the leaders of tomorrow. So thank you very much.
Please welcome First National Advisor, Woody Flowers.
I don't know about you guys, but I am so ready to do this because I've been thinking about creative design exercises for a very long time. And I've had 20 wonderful years with FRC. So what's it all about? Well, we know it's about robots and technology and STEM and analysis and community and sponsors, co-opetition, gracious professionalism, leadership. It's about so many things that can be kind of confusing at times, but I think it's actually simpler than that. I think it's about your future. In fact, it's about our future. In your career, you guys are going to deal with some very big, complex issues. And you're not going to be able to make progress on them unless you practice informed, creative thinking. In fact, you're going to have to do all 3 all the time. Now, informed is relatively straightforward. It's about training. You can train yourself. And you may train yourself, for example, to program the robot. Creative thinking is much more subtle and complex, and it requires education. And there's a great educational opportunity in FIRST. It is enabled by these wonderful mentors that you have. You have at your disposal thousands of incredibly capable people that will help you through this process and help you with this educational experience. In fact, they will enable a mini version of a doctoral program. And that produces a kind of education that we all respect a lot. The professor and the student are working together on a new problem that contains unknowns. It even contains the dreaded unknown unknown. Now, I actually think that FIRST may be better than a doctoral program because if you look at FRC, for example, there's some art involved. It's a very intense program. It's more exciting than most doctoral programs. It involves the community, leadership. It is very multidisciplinary. Entrepreneurship is important. So, you can allow yourself to be dominated by what you see in the media, or you can focus your mental energy on the stuff that happens with FIRST. Societies get the best of what they celebrate. It's a no-brainer. This is the best part. So while popular culture is headed in the wrong direction, FIRST is headed in the right direction because you guys will be working with experts. You're going to be working on a job too big, in a time too short, with a budget too small. You're going to be working to very high standards, and you'll be having what Dean calls hard fun. It's layered. There's gracious professionalism, co-opetition, teams, community, sponsors, mentors. There's thousands of volunteers, FIRST staff that work year-round, and you're on top of all those layers. So let's take a look at the you part. You're going to learn a lot about the universe because you will build a robot which obeys all of the laws of Mother Nature. She enforces all of them all the time. That will be a great educational opportunity. You're going to learn about people because you're going to be part of a team, and it simply won't happen unless you understand your colleagues. And you're going to learn a lot about yourself. If you do those things well, you will qualify for what I regard as one of the highest rankings, and that is super nerd. Now, in learning about the universe, in the last century, digging a ditch was regarded as a menial task. I believe in the 21st century, doing things like finite element analysis will be roughly equivalent to digging a ditch. The bar is continuously being raised. You're going to learn a lot about people. You know, if you have the opportunity to work with a group of people that you know that speak the same language, you're all in the same room, that makes design tasks manageable. New technology has enabled you guys to work with people all over the world, and they have different languages and different cultures. The technology is there, but the people skills have to be there in order for that to work well. You need to learn a lot about yourself, because in your lifetime there will be more pressure and there will be more rapid change. In my lifetime, this image of a Norman Rockwell classroom was relevant. Now it's not. If you look at smartphones, for example, they change more per week than old black telephones did in several decades. They are a symbol of being connected. That is the good news and the bad news. You're connected all the time. So you live in a high-pressure world that's changing quickly, and that means you better understand yourself. Self, people, and universe. Maintain balance. If you get too focused on things, that's not good. Pay attention to humanism. If you get too focused on humans, that's not good either. So try to learn as much as you can about all aspects of what everyone does. It doesn't matter whether you're an artist or an engineer, or whether you're a journalist or a scientist. You need to understand what other people do. If you do that well, you become what I regard as an exemplar of the 21st century broadly educated population. And that will allow you to have rational self-esteem. That's self-esteem based on your own knowledge that you know how to do complex things in complex environments. I think it's important to add another layer. Rational passion. Rational passion is passion that's based on things that you really understand, not what some pundit told you you should think. In the last few years, rational passion has been swamped by irrational passion. Please help us bring back some rational passion. So coming back to the original question, what is FIRST and FRC all about? Well, I believe it's about learning, it's about feeling good about yourself, making friends, and having fun. And if you do that well, you will honor your mentors and your sponsors and your colleagues, and you will honor yourself. So as I said in the beginning, it's your future, which is, in fact, our future. Good luck.
Please welcome Bill Miller, Director of Robotics.
Good morning, FRC. Kickoff is the one time of the year when all FRC teams come together. We're looking forward to an amazing year in 2011, our 20th season. And in just a minute, you'll see why. First of all, a hearty welcome to our 16 new kickoffs joining us today. One of them actually is in Toluca, Mexico. Our friends at General Motors and Tec de Monterrey have done some great work to bring FRC to the students of Mexico and grow the program. 12 new teams. We've all been very busy at FRC since we've seen you last, and I want to share some of what we've been up to and remind you of some things. We're continuously trying to find new and different ways to be of service to you. And this year, we invite you to tweet questions you have about the game directly to me now at FRC Teams. We'll be monitoring this feed during the rest of this broadcast and answering a few of the questions at the end of the show. Hey, technology is a wonderful thing. As a matter of fact, we're starting to get tweets now and questions, so one of them is actually for Will.i.am, and we'll get back to that in just a few seconds. If we don't get to your questions today, make sure you post it on our FRC forums and have it answered. In order to stay in the know, use your resources. In addition to the forum, follow my blog and watch for email alerts to help you stay on top of the deadlines and all the news of the season. If you need help accessing any of these different resources, please contact FRC Teams at usfirst.org for assistance. This year, FRC will be working more closely than ever with First Lego League and First Tech Challenge. As the game is unveiled in just a few minutes, you may notice that mentoring an FLL or an FTC team could be a little bit of an advantage. This year, we're experimenting with something called First Choice. This is for the kit of parts. Kate Pilot will explain all this to you in just a few minutes. We think this is a pretty exciting development for FRC. It is the 20th season for FRC, and we are moving the championship to St. Louis. We're having some exciting things planned, including the return of FRC Live, so we'll be looking for questions. Please email your topics for discussion and watch my blog for news of what's coming. As always, these machines are big, powerful, and fun. But we want to remind you to take safety seriously, especially when you're picking up and carrying your robots this year. And speaking of safety, here's this year's winning animation about how safety you learn at FIRST will benefit you for a lifetime. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in just a few short weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in St. Louis at the championship.
Today, we will go over safety rules. Hey, these rules may apply to your future careers. Make sure you remember to wear your safety gear. Closed-toed shoes, safety goggles, gloves, and hearing protection help you stay safe. Wearing loose clothing or jewelry puts you in danger. Remember to keep your work area clean and do not run, eat, or drink near it. Also, make sure to prepare for chemical accidents. For example, have baking soda ready to neutralize battery acid. Make sure to store tools properly and don't use dull or defective ones. Mechanical guards and clamps also help ensure your safety. Always be aware of people around you. Lastly, stay healthy by resting and eating well. All of this contributes to leading a lifetime of safety.
Please welcome NASA Program Executive Dave Lavery.
You thought you were going to get to keep it, didn't you? I want to tell you about two quick things first, just to start. One of the things we've really focused on this year is trying to give the mentors in the community a lot more resources to do their jobs. One of them I just want to let you know about very quickly is we've been working with Autodesk over the past couple months under the sponsorship and direction of the Executive Advisory Board at FIRST to start the production of a series of videos. The first one has just been completed. It's actually being hosted by Grant Imahara, who does the video for us. And it's being posted on the web and being made available for download. It will be up and live and available immediately after the broadcast. It's focused on the design process. How do you actually go through the creation process to build a FIRST robot? It's actually a very good piece. It's the first of 4 that we're going to be doing. It will be available on the NASA Archive website along with videos that you're going to see here today, as well as the archive of this entire broadcast. So after this is all finished, if you go to robotics.nasa.gov, you'll find the links there, and you go ahead and download the video. I would really strongly encourage every team out there. As a matter of fact, if there is even one member on every single team who has just a modicum of common sense, they'll want to take a look at these design process videos, because there's some really good clues in there about how the design process is supposed to work. We actually took the example of the Wildstang team, Team 111, and their 2007 robot and what they went through to build that machine as an example of how a design process might work. And given this year's game, you might really want to watch it. Second thing I want to mention is we talked a little bit just a second ago about the fact that NASA has put a new grant in place. It's $20 million over the course of the next couple of years that will be used to make funds available to help support the program and support teams. I want to let you know about one particular line item that's in that grant that we've actually been able to negotiate with first. There's a specific line item in the grant that sets aside funds so that the winners of the Engineering Inspiration Award at each of the regional competitions this year will each receive a $3,000 contribution that offsets part of their cost of going to registration for the championship. So if you win the Engineering Inspiration Award, which is targeted at engineering knowledge and spreading the word about engineering, which is sort of what NASA is involved with, we thought it might be appropriate to help reward those teams that made that extra effort to get that award. So we put that out there and included it as part of our grant. We also did it intentionally by saying we want the Engineering Inspiration Award, that's something that's related to NASA, to be the one that we recognize. But we also left some room above that. We didn't, in our grant, did not put our funds on awarding the Chairman's Award. We want to put it out to the other sponsors, the other participants, the corporations that are backing first, to say, we've done this for the Engineering Inspiration Award. Okay, here's the homework for the other corporations involved. Do any of you guys want to help sponsor the Chairman's Award? So we'll see who can step up to that one. Now, I will also, because I have to, the lawyers won't let me not say this, I will note that the grant that NASA has put in place is entirely dependent upon the availability of congressionally appropriated funding through the Science and Engineering subcommittees in the Senate and the House. So, Senator Shaheen, if you do your homework, we can do our homework. Now, the one thing I want to do, and unlike the discussions I've had in prior years, I want to take a minute to actually tell a story about the team that I work with. As most of you know, I've been working with the team ever since I first became involved with FIRST. In late 1995, a couple of students from my neighborhood saw a little piece on 2020 one evening about Dean and the competition. They came next door the very next day and talked to me and talked to my neighbor Dave Miller, looked at both of us and said, Dave, you guys work on robots, you work for NASA stuff. We saw this thing about this robotics competition. We want to put a team together. Will you guys help us? We didn't know any better, so we said yes. And we created what is now Team 116. We didn't have a clue, to be completely honest. We didn't know what we were signing up for. We had never seen the competition. We hadn't really heard about it other than secondhand information from 3 students who wanted to create the team. We didn't quite know what we were after, so we sent our lead teacher off to the kickoff all by himself. He came back with this crate of stuff and this manual and this big look in his eyes like he'd basically been caught in headlights. And we asked him, well, what do we have to do? And he looked at us and said, I don't have a clue. I got this manual, I got this kit, and I don't know what we do. So over the course of the next 6 weeks, we put together something that sort of vaguely resembled a robot, but only if the lights were really low and you squinted. And then we said, okay, well, now what do we do it? Because we have to go to this competition. And this is the part where this year, for 2011, there are 2,073 FRC teams this year. 414 of you are rookies. I want to speak to those 414 rookies right now just to prepare yourselves a little bit for what's coming. We looked at the manual. We saw the shipping instructions. That was the first year that FedEx was donating shipping. You had to read the manual very carefully to make sure you interpreted everything properly. We didn't. as we read the instructions, we realized FedEx was shipping everything for us for free, but you had to fit your entire robot, if you wanted to get the free shipping, inside standard FedEx shipping boxes. We looked at the FedEx little display thing that was down the street from us, and all the free FedEx shipping boxes we saw were about this big, or they were poster tubes like this. And we said, so we have to fit our robot into those? And we said, okay, I guess so. So we spent the entire last week of the build season disassembling our robot. And we designed it for reassembly. Not intentionally, but that's the way it turned out. We get down to Florida. 93 teams were competing that year. We walked into the pit areas. There were 92 crates, one in each pit. And then you walked up into our pit. And we didn't have a crate. We had a little pile of FedEx boxes on the floor. Oh, don't clap. We weren't proud of this. And we looked on one side of us, and on one side of the pit, next to us, there was a team, and they literally had a robot that was a monument to engineering. It was polished, it was chromed, it had a hand-embroidered custom dust cover on it. I'm not making this up. There was a velvet rope in front of their pit. The engineers went past the velvet rope. The students on the team were not allowed past the rope. And they looked over at us, and they saw our little pile of FedEx boxes on the floor, and they sort of giggled, and then they walked away. The pit on the other side of us was Team 16, the bomb squad. They looked over at our set of FedEx boxes. They had just finished taking their robot out of their crate. Their crate went away. They had a wonderful working robot sitting there. We had our pile of FedEx boxes on Thursday morning. They looked at us and said, what can we do to help? And they sent 4 people over that day who spent the entire day with us, sitting in our pits, loaning us tools, putting our robot back together for us. And that was when the light bulb went off. And we said, there's something different going on here. For all the rookies that are out there, the 414 teams that are rookies this year, you're about to experience something entirely different than you've ever done before. You're going to compete. You're going to compete really, really hard. But the thing we want you to pay attention to is not necessarily what happens out on the field. It's what happens along the way to the field. What you do back in the shop to build your robot in the first place, how you build it, the process you go through. When you get to the competition, how you interact with the other teams. That's the important part. Because the reality is, as a future employer of some of you guys and all the other companies that are out here, they're going to all think and react the same way. When you go to them after your first experience and after your college experience and you say, I've learned all this wonderful stuff, I'd now like to consider this as my profession, they're not going to ask you, how many little plastic trophies did you win? What they are going to ask you about this is, did you learn to think? Did you learn to innovate? Did you learn to solve problems? Did you learn to lead? What about your experience taught you all of that stuff? And I guarantee you when you respond to that question, the answer is not going to be, well, we won second place at the ham and cheese robotics competition in upstate wherever. It is going to be, I learned this, this, and this because of my interactions with my mentors, with the other students on my team, and with the other teams. Those of you who understand that distinction, you will have employers fighting over you. The ones who don't get it, you're going to be parking cars for the ones that do. Think about it really, really hard. What do you want to get out of this process? It's not about the robot that you build. It's all about how you build the robot. Okay, now we've been very carefully avoiding saying anything about these so far. You're probably wondering what they represent. Well, let's sort of consider what's here right now as representing some of the programs of FIRST, the continuum of programs that we have out here. We have FLL. Here is sort of the bottom layer of the structure. The starting point for this continuum of programs that is the feeder into FTC, which is the mid-level, intermediate program that has an opportunity to take all that base knowledge and refine it and strengthen it. And then on top of that, you've got an opportunity to participate in FRC. The top layer is sort of the varsity sport for what you guys want to do. And that's the structure we hope you guys are beginning to see. But also, how cool would it be take two of these and sort of cram them together. Well, it's not really going to work too well right now. But imagine if you could combine a couple of those programs. Wouldn't that be a cool idea? Take advantages and the lessons learned from one and apply them to the other. That may be a topic that's of interest in, about 3 minutes from now. So, Blair, why don't we talk a little bit about what these things actually are?
Well, Dave, maybe the best thing to do is to talk to somebody who's been holding one from the beginning of the show. Chairman of the board handed you that right at the top of the show. This is Frank from Team 1247. Frank? Say hi to Frank. Frank, do you have any idea what's going on here?
It's kind of hard to figure out what the game is going on because there's a lot of people trying to throw us off. But this is going to be a pretty interesting year, I think.
Is this the year for the pool?
I hope so.
Yes. All right, share time with the swim team. Well, you know who knows? The Game Design Committee. Let's meet them. The 2011 Game Design Committee is composed of Bill Miller, Aiden Brown, Jeremy Roberts, Kate Pelot, Callum Pearson, Paul Lazarus, Vince Wilczynski. And now it's time for the 2011 FRC game, Logomotion. Let's count it down. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
Hey, Woody, maybe we should show them one of Dave's videos of how the game works.
Sounds like a good idea.
Welcome to the 2011 First Robotics Competition, and this year's game, Logomotion. Logomotion is played on a 27 by 54 foot field. Alliances of 3 teams each operate their robots from behind alliance walls at the ends of the field. 4 towers are located near the middle of the field at the ends of designated lanes extending from each corner. 2 3x3 arrays of scoring pegs form the scoring grids located in front of each alliance wall. Robots play Logomotion with inflated tubes shaped as elements of the first logo. The objective is to place the shapes on the scoring rack to create the logo. Robots can use their cameras to follow lines on the floor or to track the vision targets placed on each scoring rack. This allows them to target scoring locations from almost anywhere on the field. Before the match, each robot is placed behind the towers on their side of the field. Each robot begins the match with a yellow Uber tube. The match starts with a 15-second autonomous period, during which robots try to place the Uber tubes on the scoring rack. Each tube placed during this period earns bonus points. At the end of the autonomous period, human drivers step forward to take the controls. During this teleoperated period, teams control their robots and attempt to place the game pieces on the scoring rack. Game pieces can be placed anywhere, but are worth more if they create the first logo. Human players at the corners of the field put game pieces into play. Robots can only possess one game piece at a time, so they must drive the length of the field to score with each new game piece. Robots will try to make it into their alliance zone as they attempt to score. Opponents are not allowed to enter this zone and cannot interfere while robots are placing game pieces. Each game piece placed on the scoring rack is worth 1, 2, or 3 points. This value is doubled if the game piece covers an Uber tube. Each completed logo earns a 2x bonus for that row of game pieces. Near the end of the match, robots drive to the towers and deploy minibots on the tower poles. As the endgame starts, minibots race to the top of the towers. The first minibot to the top earns a 30-point bonus. Second place earns 20, third place earns 15, and fourth place earns 10 points. Good luck, and we'll see you at the competitions.
Thanks, Dave. Great job as usual. Let's take a look at the real thing.
Okay, so Dean, where would you like to start?
Let's look at the game pieces.
They're great. They aren't easy to toss. They don't roll very well. They go every which way.
Looks like human players are going to have to make some careful decisions about how they retrieve and place the game pieces. Once they're on the carpet, they're all fair game. There are a lot of sharp objects out there as well. What happens with a deflated game piece once they're busted?
They stay in play, and they won't be replaced until after the match.
Okay, it's time to move on to the retro reflectors.
They could be useful for targeting.
Sure, and the teams can add illumination to their camera. Look, this beam is wider than what the lens can see.
And here's how it looks straight on or at an angle.
There is a lot of tape on the field this year.
And it's all useful. The red and the blue tape indicate the lanes and the zones.
The yellow is a caution line to help operators stay clear of the zones. It's a significant penalty if they encroach.
And this lane barrier will help keep robots from straying between the lanes and the zones. That's a violation. Don't trip.
We're using gray tape for trackers.
Did he say trackers?
I sure did. Check out these sensors. This is great stuff. FLL teams have been good at this for a long time.
That's right, and these sensors really are industrial grade. The robot can follow this line, or it can be programmed to follow either branch of the Y.
Is that stuff actually in the kit?
The hardware is, and all the software is on the FRC website. The kit is really special this year, and no one knows more about it than Game Design Committee member Kate Pilot. Kate?
Thanks, Dean. Let's go over a few really important facts and features of the 2011 kit that Colin Foltz and I have been working on. In just a few minutes, you'll get your kit. We need you to go through it really carefully to be sure you have everything and it's in good shape. Do it soon. The deadline for reporting missing or damaged items is Wednesday at 8 p.m. After that, I'm afraid you're on your own. The process for reporting missing or damaged parts is posted on the Kit of Parts website. More on that in a minute. As you inventory your kit, veterans will notice some new stuff. Veterans will get an 8 gig USB stick to image the 2010 netbook, and rookies will get one for the 2011 model. Make sure you get the right key for your rookie veteran status. The disk images are different because the hardware is different. If you're a veteran team and have purchased a new netbook, please email us, and we'll get you squared away with the image you need. Everyone must re-image their netbook and update to the 2011 software for their control system to work. Rockwell Automation has continued to be very generous and donated the line tracking sensors you've seen demonstrated. Each team gets 3, and we'll be excited to see you put them to work in Autonomous. In addition to these sensors, you'll also find a few other new items, including kits of bearings, shaft collars, sprockets and belts, linear encoders, retro reflective material samples, and a kit of 4 BaneBots motors. A special note about the BaneBots motors. Make sure you review the manual for information about how many you can use. A comprehensive checklist of the items this year is available on the Kit of Parts website, which I'm getting to. The biggest change this year is the new program called First Choice. It's an online extension of the kit and enables us to make a wider variety of donated parts available to you. It's our intent to migrate much of the Kit of Parts to an online model so that the process can be scalable as FRC continues to grow. First Choice is an online repository of materials. You just have to pay for the shipping. Now, there are limits on how many parts a team can request, and a deadline. Teams must make their part selections by January 16th. For details, please read the information published on the Kit of Parts website. Still getting to that. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the team at Andy Mark for everything they've done to make First Choice a reality. Not only has Andy Mark agreed to manage all the logistics for First Choice, but they also know Dean's favorite word. Without that kind of support, First wouldn't be able to try different ideas like First Choice. We want you to know that about 80% of what's in your kit was donated by a family of generous suppliers. They help us get parts to you to help you build your robot, but they also help keep your costs down. There are 66 different suppliers this year. Many have employees who are mentors and volunteers. When you meet them at events, please thank them for their gifts. Now, I've covered a lot in the last few minutes, but don't worry. All of this information, including this video, is posted on the new Kit of Parts website. I promised I would get to it. Here it is. You'll find a one-stop shop for information you need about this year's kit. If you still have questions, check the FRC forums. The answers are probably already there, and if not, just post. Good luck.
Thanks, Kate. Great stuff. Let's see what we can do with it.
Well, for one thing, you could come up with something very tall, but it still needs to fit inside this envelope at the start of the match.
That thing is flying. And everything except the bumpers and the black cover comes straight out of the kit. It's come a long way in 20 years.
And it can be really heavy, up to 120 pounds in the bumpers and the battery, plus a 15-pound mini-bot.
It's still very fast and looks really maneuverable, even fully loaded. Be sure you think about where you put that weight.
You can do all sorts of precision maneuvering in the protected zones, but be ready for big hits out in the open field. Are we using bumpers this year? I didn't put them in the animation. Do we actually have to use them?
They are required. The rules are strict, and they are really important, especially if you want to be playing on Saturday afternoon. And I hope the teams understand the pinning rule clearly. It's simple, but very important. A robot may not pin another robot that is in contact with the field border or the tower for more than 5 seconds.
Yeah, and it's huge this year. 10 times more than any other penalty. I hope we never see it.
The mini-bots sound like a lot of fun, but how do they get to the pole?
Well, the teams are going to need to be sure to allow for that. Remember, even if you don't use your own mini-bot, you still want to be able to deploy one.
Here's a deployment device that slides out on drawer slides. You can get them at any home improvement store.
Oops, we jumped the gun a little bit. You can't cross into the cylinder until the 10-second mark. If you do, your tower is disabled and you're out of the race.
At this competition, do whatever is necessary to be sure you don't leave too soon.
So let's reset. With 15 seconds left, the base lights and the lights at the top of the pole will flash.
They will stop flashing at 10 seconds. The base lights will stay static until you've reached the top.
You'll be able to tell how you did by counting the strobes on top. The first mini-bot to the top lights them all.
Here's another that swings out using the exact same mini-bot. If it does not come down on its own, the field personnel do whatever is necessary to keep things moving along at your peril.
And here's another way to go about it.
Thanks, guys. Great tour. I'm really excited about all the options this year.
I know that you all are really raring to go, and we need to get started on the 2015 game.
We'll be here for a bit, taking some of the great questions that you've been tweeting this morning. Over to you, Blair.
All right, we are live on the field, and we are here to answer your tweets from the field. The first question, guess who it's for? This is from Bill Derry, 236. His question to you, Will, is, what do you think of this year's game?
It's dope.
It's dope, Will. Our second question. This is from Revolt 314. This is for Dean. How many tubes can a robot carry at one time?
It's not Team 314. It's First Team 314. So, the answer for all the first teams, your robot can only control or carry one game piece at a time.
Clear enough. Thank you, Team 314. First Team 314. I'm going to get it right eventually, Dean. Our next question is for Dave from Squiggy. First Team 358. Can we build more than one mini-bot?
Yes, you can build more than one mini-bot. You're encouraged actually to build multiples and share if you want to. And you also have the option to not build any and share from a partner team on your alliance.
All right, thank you. Hope that clears it up for you, Squiggy. Our next question for Woody from Maniac 517. First 517. First Maniac 517. What is the limit on how tall a robot can be?
There is no limit, but you probably should use some judgment.
Okay. Words of caution, advice. Our next question goes back to Dean from Green Gabbard. From First Team 931. What are we building the Minibot out of?
So the diabolical new plan here was to make sure that people really see all of the FIRST programs. Junior First Lego League, First Lego, First Tech Challenge, First Tech Challenge, and FRC. So you can build your Minibot, but it's got to be made out of FTC parts, plus a few other things, but Dave and the other guys have made it very clear in the rule book what you can use. The goal is to get all of you people working with an FTC team to bring all of our programs together. So we expect to see a lot of cooperation between First Tech Challenge and First Robotics, and that's what the Minibots are about.
All right, Dean. There's a buzz in the room, and we're sure there's a buzz at all the remote kickoffs as well. Our next question goes to Dave from Tetsuo Show. Can you score in a diagonal?
You can place game pieces anywhere on the scoring rack, and they will be worth points. But they're only forming a valid logo if it's a horizontal row, and that's how you get the bonus points.
All right, clear enough. Our next question to Woody from RTGF Now. Can human players throw the game pieces?
Yes, they can. They can throw them over their station or feed them through the slot.
All right. And finally, we have one last question. This is for Will I Am. Will I Am, what is the last secret to reveal?
First off, sorry. It's not a secret, and everybody knows it's time for the robot to dance.
That's the code, baby. We have released the code. We will see you at a competition. Good luck during the build season. We're going to end this broadcast. We're going to have some birthday wishes since it is our 20th season. And then we're going to invite our studio audience down onto the field to smell, touch, and kick the tires on this game. We'll see you out on the field in 2011 in Logomotion. I'm here on the field. What's your name?
I'm Charles Caneb. I'm a graduate student at Texas A&M University. In the past few years, I've been one of the mentors for 190.
And what do you think about this year's game?
Well, I think the mini bots are going to be a lot of fun to design. People should probably take a look at the composition of the poles they're supposed to climb. Let me point out that they're galvanized, so you may want something that reacts with zinc, but they'll probably ban that very quickly after about the first time somebody melts one.
All right, some sage advice. Thanks for coming up from Texas. We'll roll in the field here, see what else we can find. We're back on the field here. Another first team member. Who do we have?
Jen Hosker from Team 501.
Jen, what do you think about this year's game?
I think it's fantastic. I think the clues actually helped us guess a little bit this year, and I can't wait to see this in competition.
So did you think it was inflatables scoring on a rack again?
I thought it was the first logo as game pieces. I did come up with that one.
Nicely done. So I saw you inspecting this, well, the mini-bot pad here. What do you think?
I think it's a great aspect to the game. It's something new, and it's going to be really interesting out there.
Can you talk about the composition of this for people who aren't here right now?
It appears to be plexiglass or Lexan.
Can you stand on it? Go for it. Oh, and it's squishy. It's sturdy and squishy. Any final comments on the game?
Good luck, everybody, and we'll see you in St. Louis.
All right, we'll scan the field here, see who else is kicking the tires.
High School, Concord, New Hampshire.
In Concord, New Hampshire. Loving the lumberjack shirts. Where's that digital camera? You just showed me an image.
I've been taking pictures of the reflectors on each of these, each of the posts here, and they're just awesome. Should I show them to the camera? Even from like really extreme angles, we're getting some awesome reflections. off of these sensors. And I was just about to take a picture off of the top one because our robot's going to be way down low. I want to see if we can get a good reflection off of it from that also.
So what's your impression of this year's game?
It looks really good. It looks really good. My favorite part's the posts with the robots getting up there.
The end period will be great. Do you guys have any experience with FTC bots right now?
He did it for 1 year. This is my first year on it. So. FTC. Oh, FTC?
For 2 years. This is my third year, but not FTC, no. But we hosted an FLL competition at our school, and we have kids that mentor other FLL teams in the area. So I think we should be all right.
All right. Well, good luck this year. We'll see you at a competition. We'll roll in the field, get another impression. All right, I'm here with Frank again. Frank, you had to guess what the game was. You said it was going to be a challenge. What do you think now that it's unveiled?
Definitely going to be a challenge.
So you were right. Yeah. Now, the inflatable tubes, you held one the whole time. You see that the yellow is the Uber tube, the bonus tube. Any strategy yet with the team?
We're thinking about making a taller robot that can able to put it on the top one. Haven't really talked about it too much yet, but we'll think of something.
And what about the FTC mini-bot ending of this game?
That's going to be a hard one, but we're figuring out how to be able to hold the robot in different ways that we can be able to make it climb. I saw a different way when they were on the video about how using wheels to climb, and we were thinking about doing something like that, or figuring other ways we can use different other parts of the FTC bots.
And does your team have any FTC experience?
Not really, but we will now.
You will now. That's the plan. Thanks a lot. Congratulations, and have a great competition. See you on the road. All right, Alex, what do you think of this year's game?
Oh, I'm very excited for the little mini-bot challenge. I think that's going to be my specialty this year.
And does your team have any experience with mini-bots or with FTC bots?
Yeah, our team actually has an FTC component at our school, so we'll be accessing that talent greatly.
So it's a step ahead of the other teams already. Great. What about the hanging the inner tubes on the rack?
Well, definitely, I'm thinking about an arm idea, but we'll have to go over those types of ideas in our idea planning that takes place over the first 3 days of.
When's the first team meeting?
Immediately after this, we're heading there right now. And we'll spend 3 days just planning. We won't even look at the kit of parts really.
Well, good luck this year. We'll see you at a competition.
Yeah.
Let's roam the field here. Team. What team are you guys on?
We're Team 2084, Robots by the Sea.
First Team 2084. Where are you from? Where's your hometown?
Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts.
Manchester by the Sea in Mass. So you were just taking a photo of what?
I was taking a photo of the top of the climbing pole thing and realizing that there were switches up there.
So there's some sensors up there because the first robot that gets to the top will get most points, 30 points, 20, 10. All right, what else do you see?
There's 4 lights so you know which one got to the top first.
Now, does your team have any experience with FTC bots already?
Well, I think we both were at the FLL, but our school doesn't have a first FTC team, but maybe we'll change that.
I think you're going to have to do something to get that FTC bot up that pole. Well, good luck at the competitions this year. We'll see you on the road.
Thank you. Go first.